Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm talking about a film that you can stream right now on Netflix. It's also a biopic from actor Bradley Cooper, who's also directed some films. He directed that A Star is Born remake a couple years ago. But today I'm talking about his latest film, which is a biopic about Leonard Bernstein, the legendary music conductor. He did, scores for West Side Story and a bunch of other stuff that he's well known for in the music community. And so this film basically follows his life. It follows basically his music career, his marriage, his family. It basically follows big parts of his life over the course of this 2 hour runtime. And over the course of this movie, we also find out that Leonard has issues with cocaine and he has issues with kind of keeping up with his family over time. Like it started off really strong, but it kind of got weaker over time. And this impacted the way he lived. This impacted who kind of was at his side at his later years because the older he got, kind of the less people that were on his side. It basically was just his music community, his supporters of his music that were really kind of the only people left in his life towards the end of his life. And so this film kind of follows how he was this really successful conductor. He still had a lot of success in his later years, but the older he got, the more his family kind of became estranged from him and didn't really want to do anything with him and kind of left him become this, legendary composer, but kind of on his own terms, without the family at his side to do such pursuits and stuff like that. So over the course of this movie, we find out basically the highs and the lows of the life and career of Leonard Bernstein. But overall, guys, I thought this film was all right. The thing with Maestro is I was really excited for it. I thought the trailers were absolutely fantastic. I really liked what Bradley Cooper did as a director for A Star is Born, which he also happened to star in back when that was made. So I was really kind of hoping for lightning in a bottle for a second time around. I think the AFI even put this film on their top 10 for favorites films of 2023. So there's a lot of things going into this film that made me really, really excited for it. And at the end of the day, after seeing the film for myself, I personally just thought it was okay. There's things about it that I think are really admirable. There's things about it that really kind of do show that Bradley Cooper does have what it takes to be the next big director. But there's a lot of things working against this film that don't quite make it as successful as his A Star is Born remake and don't quite make this film as successful as it possibly could have been. This film was also produced by Steven Spielberg and Martin Scorsese. And after watching the film for myself, I kind of wish one of the two of them directed this film instead because I think the problems I faced with this film would have hopefully been fixed if one of the two of those legendary directors made this film instead. But overall, guys, for Maestro, for my positives and negatives of the movie, I thought for positives, the musical score was absolutely fantastic. The choice of using actual Leonard Bernstein music over the course of this film to kind of reflect and make you feel a certain way about certain moments in the movie, I thought was a very strong choice. I thought that was a very effective choice too. It also kind of on the parts where you're really not supposed to like him either. It really shows kind of the more self-indulgent side of Leonard Bernstein. So I thought that was also an accurate choice. So I thought the musical score of this film was effective and was very strong. Like you definitely tell Leonard Bernstein back when he was alive made a lot of really really good music, and the film absolutely reflects that. So I thought that aspect of the film was very strong. I also thought the aging makeup effects they used for the characters, specifically when Bradley Cooper gets older, when Carey Mulligan's character gets older, she plays the wife in the movie. When Sarah Silverman, who plays Bradley Cooper's sister in the movie, when she gets older, very very effective stuff. Whoever they hired for their makeup artist team for this movie, whether it was a community or one person that was in charge of all this, very very effective stuff. You really do kind of believe you're looking at Bradley Cooper as an old man, Carey Mulligan as an older woman, at Sarah Silverman as an aging older woman. They really did a terrific job of making sure that you feel that you're watching these characters at a later time in their life, at an older time of their life too. And I thought that aspect of the makeup effects was very strong in this movie. The camera filter effects that were used for the film too, to reflect certain time frames in Leonard Bernstein's life, I also thought was very effective as well. They use black and white footage for the 40s when he's a young man and kind of an up and rising conductor. They use like old TV cameras for when he's being interviewed on television when his success is really starting to get noticeable. They use in color footage on the more modern day stuff when he's older and his family is starting to run into issues with him and stuff like that. So camera filter choices I thought were very effective for the most part. It really does kind of reflect certain stages of Leonard's life. So I thought that aspect of the story and that aspect of the editing and the camera choices were, I thought, very effective for this film. I also do like how the film does reflect kind of the goods and the bads of when a person develops a passion for something. It shows the goods because, Leonard is really impacting the music community. He has students all over the world that want to learn how to conduct music the way that he does. But for the bads, too, there's a lot of things in his life that he has to miss out on because of all this. His family feels like he's never really with them for Thanksgiving and Christmas and all this stuff that they really want him to be the father and the family man for in their household. And so there's that problem there. He has a problem with cocaine, so obviously he has a hard time focusing on things where he's not out and conducting music anywhere, where he's really kind of struggling with other stuff in his life. So I thought that aspect of the film is also very strong because it shows when someone develops a passion for something, they can get really sucked into it and obviously become really good at it. But the downside of that is they do miss out on family stuff. They do miss out on stuff that kind of makes them live their life and stuff like that. So I thought that aspect of the story was very strong of showing the goods and the bads of somebody developing a passion for something. I also liked how the film really drove the point home of his marriage playing a big part in his life. How his marriage was kind of the thing that made him happy and made him the person that he was with his wife and their relationship and stuff. But the downside of that too is their marriage really crumbled in his later years, and the film does reflect that his wife was really not happy with certain choices he made over the course of the years. And so there's something that happens with her too that Leonard has to become, a strong, supportive husband for, that you learn in the movie that I'm not going to spoil here. But their marriage does play a big part. It definitely reflects where Leonard's life was going at the time and just how much of that impacted both his music career, his personal life, and whether he was happy or sad at that time in his life too. For my negatives of this movie, though, the film never really dives into how and what inspired Bernstein to become the successful person that he was. It never really reflects, did he go for walks? Did he listen to other music? Did he watch other composers? Did he, what exactly happened that caused him to become the big success that he was? Because the film kind of makes it look like he became this overnight success, but it's never really explained how that became to be. How did he replace this other person that was supposed to conduct music one night at the beginning of the movie? How did he get the gig instead? There's just other parts there's certain aspects of this movie that really are not explained very well. It just kind of, he becomes successful and then he is not successful. And then he's successful again and now he's not so successful again. And so there's parts of this movie where it doesn't really reflect very well the inspiration and the becoming of Leonard Bernstein as to how he did become this legendary conductor. How come the history books really do need to reflect that he was one of the best, that he was this maestro, that's the title of the movie, of the field that he was in. And so the film never really brings that point home very well. It's just he found success one day, he just kind of ran with it, and the film kind of runs with it too. And the film just expects you to believe that he became this overnight success somehow. So the film never really dives into that, and it's a very frustrating aspect of this movie. It's also a very slow-paced movie. It's only about 2 hours and 5 minutes or so, and the film feels way, way longer than that. And I think that has everything to do with how slow the pacing was for this movie. It does take a very long time to get from point to point to point, specifically the bigger stuff. And it really was kind of a frustrating watch because I was really excited for the film, and it felt like it was going at a snail's pace, and I thought that aspect of the film was also very disappointing. And also I was very frustrated with the ending too. It just kind of ends on this abrupt note. It ends on a very frustrating note where we really are kind of left with how we're supposed to feel about some of the stuff we just witnessed. And to be honest too, without giving it away, there's something that happens near the end of the movie where it's just like, really, that's how you're gonna move on from such a terrible thing like that? And so there's just things like that where it's just like, it just felt very frustrating. I never really felt what Bradley Cooper was trying to tell me about Leonard Bernstein. I didn't know if he was trying to tell me that he was a good person that did some bad stuff on the side, or he was a bad person that had some good stuff happen to him. It was just it was a very difficult film to digest because I just didn't know what Bradley Cooper, the director and actor of this movie, was trying to make me feel. Like I just felt like I was watching a series of events and without really any purpose to it. I just watched a series of events of a person's life that really didn't come into a whole coherent whole as to how I was supposed to feel about what I just witnessed as a film. And also that goes into my next point. This film really should have just been about Leonard's life and music career. And the film just kind of picks and chooses selective moments in his life. And it's a very frustrating watch as a result because you'll see really good stuff happen to him and all of a sudden really bad stuff happen to him too. And the film just kind of jumps back and forth between them without really any purpose or without any real connection as to why these events were chosen as opposed to some other stuff. So very frustrating watch in the sense that it just chooses selective moments when it really just could have been a good film about the life of Leonard Bernstein, specifically his music career. And often, too, the film just makes him feel unlikable. There's just a lot of scenes where he just kind of is out to just go do the cocaine, and he just ignores his family, he ignores all his wife's concerns, which are real concerns, by the way, and just like all the stuff that really would made him a likable character earlier on in the movie just kind of get thrown away, and you just kind of, you really don't know how to feel by the end of the movie because you're shown all the stuff that makes him look terrible. But given there's a lot of good stuff too in there too, but like it's just like there's a lot of stuff where it's just like I don't know if I like this guy because of all this terrible stuff that he's done too. So it's just one of those things where it's frustrating because the film wants you to like him, but at the same time there's just as many points where you're not supposed to like him either. So it's a very frustrating watch because I don't really know what side the film wants me to be on. Do I want to like him or do I want to not like him? And so there's just a very frustrating combination of things that makes it a difficult watch. And also, too, on the scenes that take place in the 40s, I did not like the acting in that scene. It was very, here, we're in the 40s, and we're going to be watching this TV here, see? And we're going to be watching this radio here, see? And everybody's going to be talking like they're on the radio and in a gangster film, see? And so like, there's just a lot of scenes where people are talking like that, and the second all the 40s stuff is over with, nobody's talking like that. So clearly it was a directorial choice of, hey, act like this thing like that's clearly from the 40s, and once we're in the 50s and 60s and so on, never use that voice again. And so there's just a lot of scenes where I just don't know what happened. I don't know what creative choice that caused Bradley Cooper to be like, talk like this here, but never talk like that again here. And so it just kind of, it was a very frustrating watch as a result in that regard. And then for my last and final point too, I thought this film had a very bad story balance. It just had a bad balance of good stuff in his life, bad stuff in his life. Want to cover this too, want to cover that too, and just kind of just deal with this big tangled mess that we have here. But overall, guys, I'm going to give Maestro a 7 out of 10. There's things about it that are certainly good. There's things about it that I enjoyed for the most part, but there's a lot of things working against this film that I did not enjoy. I'll probably never watch it again. I think it's a very frustrating watch. I kind of wanted to see what the AFI felt about putting this in their top 10. I thought that was very bizarre. Definitely a lot of things working against this movie. So go into it with caution if you really do want to see it like I did. It is free on Netflix if you have a subscription with that. So I would say watch it that way instead of in theaters if you're going to track this film down. So 7 out of 10 for me. It's okay. Maestro gets a very moderate, generous, middle of the road thumbs up if you even want to call it that. So 7 out of 10 for me.